Hello again, this is Otis Landerholm. I am here talking about the second video in our U-Visa video series. It's just a 2-video series. Remember, in the first video we talked about U-Visa eligibility, that there are basically 4 requirements to be eligible for a U-Visa. First, you have to have been the victim of a serious crime in the United States. Second, you have to be helpful in the investigation or the prosecution of that crime, which includes that you have information about the crime that you suffered. Third, you have to have suffered substantial physical or mental abuse. And fourth, you have to be quote-unquote admissible. So if you have questions about any of those things, I recommend that you go back and watch the first video. This video is going to be dedicated more to the application process and the paperwork and how to get your U-Visa. So, the U-Visa basically starts with the reviewing of a police report. So if you have your police report, that's great. If you don't have it, then my office can help you get that. And there's even one other thing that I want to say. If you haven't reported the crime that's been happening to you, my office can help you and has helped some people in certain situations with the reporting of the crime as well. So if you've been suffering from domestic violence for years and you've never reported it, my office can go with you down to the police station and help you file that report if you want us to. All right, but if we've got the police report and if we are satisfied that you meet the eligibility requirements, first you would hire my office to help put your U-Visa case together, and then we would get to work. So what does getting to work mean? It basically means it's a 3-step process. Step number 1 is the certification process. Step number 2 is the paperwork, and step number 3 is the decision. Okay, so step number 1, the certification. What is the certification? Basically, there's this form. It's a government form. You can find it online or on USCIS's website, which is uscis.gov. And you can look up Form I-918 Supplement B. And this is a form, and be very, very careful with the way that you fill this form out. We send it to the law enforcement agency which was investigating and or prosecuting the crime that you were the victim of. So if your police report, if you reported and called the police in the county of San Francisco, then we would go to the San Francisco Police Department and we would ask them for a certification of the fact that you were helpful and you cooperated with them and you gave your police report. Okay? So step 1 is that certification process. Step 2 is putting together all the paperwork. So what paperwork are we talking about? One big thing of any U-Visa is the declaration or affidavit, whatever you want to call it. It is a statement by you under penalty of perjury explaining exactly what happened and how you suffered as a result of what happened. And there are other things that need to go in that declaration as well. Okay, so and we would help you through that process, but only you know exactly what happened to you, and only you know exactly how it affected you. And so your declaration is key, and it's actually a big piece of how we need cooperation from you and with you as we go forward and to make your case as strong as possible. All right. So with the declaration, there's also a whole bunch of different forms that we fill out. The I-918 is the U-Visa form itself. The I-765 is for work authorization. There's a fee waiver form we can put together. There's the waiver of grounds of inadmissibility that we put together with it. And anyway, there are a whole bunch of different forms that we go over. We need to make sure that all the information in them is correct, and then we put them together. Generally speaking, any immigration service or application is 2 things, really. It's forms and it's evidence. So we put the forms and the evidence together in a packet and we mail it off and submit it to the government and apply for the U visa. Immediately after we do that, we get notices from the government saying that saying that they have received your application, and you get called in for what's called a biometrics appointment because they want to take your fingerprints and make sure that you don't have anything else going on in the record that we haven't already stated in the case. So that's sort of the paperwork phase. It's really the submission of the whole application. After that starts a big long wait, all right? And the wait can be anywhere from 9 months to as long as 15 months, and then you get your decision. The decision will come in the mail, and it generally comes either granting you a deferred action status or actually granting you the employment authorization card. It looks like a little driver's license, or it's a form of government ID, and granting you the visa for a period of 4 years. Okay? That's basically the process. So the paperwork, as I mentioned, there are the forms and there's the evidence. The evidence that I'm talking about is the police report, the declaration, a psychological evaluation and or medical records, and we have a checklist in our office that we would give to you that explains exactly what we need and what information is required to fill out the forms. Okay, so that is basically everything you need to know about the application process and how to apply for a U visa. There are some other things to keep in mind for a U visa. For example, even if you get a U visa, it doesn't mean that you're safe forever. U visas have limits. You can apply for a green card after 3 years, okay? But you have to have stayed in the United States on valid U visa status during those 3 years. Also, the government is only allowed to grant a certain number of U visas per year. I believe the number is 10,000. And so if they decide that you're eligible for a U visa, but if they've already met that quota, they'll put you on deferred action status, which means that you'll be eligible for work authorization, but it will delay the time that you will need to wait before you can get your green card. Okay? Also, just because you have a visa doesn't mean that you're not quote-unquote deportable or inadmissible if you were to violate some other law, right? So generally speaking, if you got the visa, then you've requested a waiver, hopefully, of every ground of inadmissibility that you had triggered. But nonetheless, you have to obey all laws, okay? So if you were to commit certain crimes, or if you were to violate certain aspects of immigration law, it could allow the government to take away your U visa and to put you into deportation proceedings. So be aware of that. All right. So a lawyer can help you throughout the U visa process. First of all, we can request the certification from law enforcement on your behalf, but more than that, we can ensure that all the forms were filled out properly. We can ensure that all the evidence is filled out properly. We can ensure that we can basically avoid unnecessary delays by getting everything done correctly from the beginning before we file it. We can receive mail from the government throughout the life of your case. And we can make sure that you've asked for forgiveness for any immigration problems that you may have had in the past, so that it's waived and so that you don't have to worry about it going forward. Okay? So that's basically it. U visas are very, very powerful visas. They can help people change their lives. People who have been undocumented for years and then have suffered a horrible crime here. Nobody wants to be the victim of a horrible crime, but it can be useful for you to help you improve your life if something like that has happened. Okay? And my office is here to help you do that if you want to. All right, well, thank you for watching, and I hope that this was educational in some way, And feel free to call my office if you feel you qualify for a U visa. We'd be more than happy to help you. All right, take care. Bye.